Hi, it's Paul with OurChurch.com. Thanks for joining me for this website design frequently asked questions video. In this video, we're going to address a bunch of questions that are related to building a web team. Who should be on your team? What roles should people have? Who should be able to do what? All of those types of questions. All right, well, let's jump in and hit the first and most obvious question. What is a web team? Well, a web team is a group of people who are responsible for building, updating, and managing your website. Pretty simple, right? But the point is, it's more than one person. So let's ask the next question, or address the next question. Why a web team? Why shouldn't you just do this all by yourself? Well, here are some really good reasons why we believe this should be a multi-person effort. First of all, staffing redundancy. If you only have one person who's responsible for the whole website, then what happens when that person gets sick or is out of town or leaves your organization? This is why it's important to have multiple people, because that way, if any of those things should happen, you've got somebody else who can manage the website for you. Another good reason to have a team is to share the workload, right? I mean, more hands make lighter of the work, or however that is said, right? Now, if you divvy up the work, it's going to be less work for each individual person, and that's going to make it easier for you to get your website built the way that you want it, and also to maintain it the way you want it to be maintained. Third reason to have a web team, more expertise. It's likely that you're going to have different people who specialize in different aspects of the website. You might have one person who's good at writing, one person who's good at photography, one person who's more technical, and this way, by having more people on your team with more areas of expertise, it's going to make your website better, which is going to help you to accomplish your mission better. Another reason for a web team, multiple perspectives. It's good to have the perspective of leadership, of marketing, of customer service or internal communication, all a part of your team. It's also really helpful to have people with different perspectives on what looks good and what functions good, because not everybody thinks the same way on those subjective types of things. So those are all reasons why we believe it's really helpful to have multiple people involved in a web team, and it'll make your organization function better and your website better. All right, next question. Who should be on your web team? Well, I alluded to some of these roles just a moment ago, but let's address them in more detail and more specificity. So first of all, your team's going to need a leader, right? And that leader is probably going to be your communications director or your marketing director. Somebody who's going to lead the team, make the final decision, organize the team, those types of things. Next, you're going to need a content writer. This is going to be the person who writes the text for your web pages, writes your blog articles or announcements, things like that. Somebody who's a good writer. A third person to have on your team, photographer. Maybe somebody else can do the photography, but maybe you've got somebody in your organization who has a good eye for photography. And a fourth person to have on your team is a technical person or IT person. Now, if you are going to have your website built by a web designer or a web design company, this role can be outsourced to them. They're going to be the person who installs your website software, does your plugin updates, addresses any technical issues that come up. And so this is a person who important to have on your team, somebody who knows what they're doing from a technical perspective. Now, there might be other roles, other people you want involved in your web team, but these are 4 roles that we recommend. All right, and now defining the roles and responsibilities and authority of the people on the team. When you have this team, people are going to need to know what they're responsible for, who's doing what, when they're doing it, and who can make what decisions. So that's what you're going to want to define. One of the things you're going to want to define for each of the people who make up your team. Who's going to do which parts of the updates? Like, is somebody going to be responsible for the main pages of the site? Is somebody else going to write announcements and blog articles? Is somebody else going to update the photos, things like that? Is somebody else going to do plugin updates and technical updates? Define those, how often they're going to be done, who's going to do them, so forth. Who's going to make design decisions? This is really important, especially early on in the process. We have run into some situations where the website has been delegated to a secretary or an intern or something like that. They join us on the calls to decide what the website is going to look like, which pages are going to be on the website, and so forth. And then after those decisions are made, then sometimes those decisions get overruled by people higher up in the organization, and then that person comes back to us and they say, hey, we need to make some changes, and then they end up incurring additional expenses. It delays the website development process and so forth. So make sure it's clearly defined who is going to make the final decision on designs, on the pages on your site, what goes where, and so forth, like that. Another thing that really needs to be defined is who can authorize financial expenditures. If you have a decision as far as like adding some new functionality to the website, adding some additional pages to the website, if you're going to add search engine optimization to your service, who has the final authority to expend those funds? That needs to be defined. And last but not least, who is the point of contact? And there are really at least 2 points of contact that you need to have. The first one is if you hire a website developer or a web design company to build your website, who is going to be the point of contact, who's going to be on the calls with that company and going to be on the emails of that company, going to keep the rest of the team informed as to where you are in the process of the website development. That really needs to be one person and not the whole team on every single call, every single email, all of those things. The second point of contact that you're going to want to define is the internal point of contact for website updates and announcements. So this is especially important if you're leading a church. There are going to be lots of ministries who all want to have updates to their website. They all want to have things announced on the website. And so have a process and a person that people contact if they have things they want added to the website, updated on the website, announced on the website. So those are some tips as far as defining the roles and responsibilities and authority, how to organize your web team. I hope you find this really helpful because doing the website together as a team is going to make your website much better. It's going to make the experience better, and it's really going to help you better live out your mission online. If you have any other questions about web teams or about building a website, developing a website, please contact us, support@OurChurch.com. We'd love to talk with you. Thanks for watching this video.